Hello all, I'm Mithun and welcome back to a brand new video. So in this video, we are going to look into MCP. Okay, so you might have heard about MCPs at a lot of places, but when I go through the tutorials, documentations, right? So the buzz around MCP is more, but there is no in-depth tutorials or in-depth guides so that anyone who can get started with MCP. So that's the whole agenda of this particular lecture. So here we are not going to just beat around the bush. We are going to look into the depth of the concepts, how MCP works, what MCP is, why do we need MCP. We'll create our first MCP server complete hands-on. Okay, so we are going to do some real operations and we'll connect our server to multiple clients. So this is the whole agenda of this particular video. So it's not just to showcase you something about MCP and just do things which is already been done by you guys. No, so we are going to go into the concept, okay, and implement it completely hands-on. Okay, so I hope the context is very much set here. So without any further delay, let's get started. Okay, now whenever we talk about MCP, right, so the first thing you should know is what MCP is. So MCP is Model Context Protocol. Again, so it makes a lot of sense in the name itself. Okay, so especially the model, context, and the protocol. Let's start from the protocol ones. Now, what exactly is protocol? Protocol is just the rules, okay, to be followed while talking to something. That's it. That's the protocol. Like, let's say in real life you will have some protocol whenever you are meeting someone. Okay, how do you communicate with them? In order to communicate to them, you need to follow some protocol. Same in software. So we have HTTP. It's also a protocol based on which we do communications either to REST APIs or GraphQL APIs, right? So protocol is just the rules. So MCP provides you the standard rules in order to talk. Okay, so now between whom the connection will happen? So the connection will happen between a MCP server, okay, and an MCP client. Okay, again, it's not just one client. So if you have one server, you can connect to multiple clients as well. So MCP provides you a standard set of rules so that you can talk to these servers. Okay, you can talk to these servers. This is what simply MCP is and what simply protocol is. Okay, now comes the very big question. Why do we need it? Why do we need MCP? So what problem is it solving? Okay, so now let's talk about LLMs. So we have a lot of LLMs, right? So large language models. So what large language models are? So they are simply AI machines trained upon a very large set of data. So that's why large language models, right? Now they are the master of everything. So you can ask them anything based on the training data, they will give you the response. So this is all clear. Now, in order to expand their knowledge, okay, in order to expand their knowledge, like I want to give it access to my private resource, which I don't want to train LLM for it. I want to give access to certain tools. So that is where problem comes. Providing context, extra context, additional context apart from what it's trained without training the model. So that's where MCP comes into picture, and that's why every big company is going behind MCP. So using MCP, what you can provide is that you can say, hey LLM, you have access to my resources. Okay, so there are a lot of tools which you can access. So this is what simply MCP does. It gives you access, and this way of accessing it. So every client will be connected to an LLM. Okay, every client, MCP client will be connected to an LLM, and using an MCP server, you will give it extra additional context. So this is an additional context which it can use. Okay, I think now it all makes sense. Like let's say I have my private database which we are going to build in this particular video itself. So I have a private database. I don't want to share the database. Okay, and let me just give you the flow diagram itself. I have a database. Okay, like let's say user database, some user database. Now typically in order to read and write, what I will do, so I will write queries for them. Okay, so I will write queries, and I need to write queries every time. Okay, so here using some commands, I will be doing this, and I want to do it every time in order to do some operation with the database. Okay, like I want to create a user, read a user, update a user, date a user, all of this. Now I cannot use LLM for this operation because it doesn't have the knowledge of my database, or it doesn't have access to my database. That's very much important, access to the database. So it can give me the query telling that, hey, so this is my database type. Can you give me the command? It will give you the command, but it cannot do the operation itself because of the access. So now what I will be doing is that I will be creating a MCP server. I will be creating a MCP server. Okay. And I will be connecting it to my database, and inside this MCP server I will give access to the database. I will give ways to do the operations, so that an LLM, okay, a client plus a client with an LLM, okay, can intelligently do operations onto my database. So this will be more clear right now. Like let's say instead of here in the older approach, if I want to add a user, I should say something like, hey, insert this user, this is the details, and I need to follow a proper language, or the query language. So here I will just say natural language. Hey, had the user Mithun, his address is this one, his phone number is this, and this is his email ID. Okay, using MCP server, your LLM can now directly access the resource. This is the whole idea of MCP servers. So using MCP, you can provide access, you can provide extra context, you can provide access to the various resources. Okay, great. So that is why we use MCP, and this is what MCP is. So I hope this is very much clear for you all now, and there should be no confusions. Now let's create our first MCP server and connect our servers to multiple clients. Okay, again I am going to do the same thing. So we'll create a database, users database, and we'll do operations on this. Again, I'm not going to do it in a real database as of now. Let's directly write to a file. Okay, so again, if you are writing to a file, same thing you can do it for the any of the resources. Okay, so this is a very good starting point. So I will create a new folder, and I will say db mcp, something like this, or yeah, db mcp, and I will get my VS code, so, and pull this db mcp. Great. Okay, so now the first thing I need to do, again I'm going to use Node. Okay, again if you go to their documentation, right, so they have a very good documentation, but yeah, so not that much comfortable for the beginner, but yeah, so if you go here, so if you go to build an MCP server, you can see you can build it using multiple ways: Python, Node, Java, Kotlin, C#. I'll be following the Node way. Okay, so since we are all big fans of Node.js or JavaScript, we'll be doing it. First I will create a Node project. So with this I have a package.json. So with dbmcp, everything is good here. Now in order to build, I need to install some of the packages. So I am going to install Model Context Protocol SDK and Zod 3. Okay, again, what is Zod? Zod is to just define the schema. Don't worry about it, I will just take you through where as and when needed. So we need only these two to create a server, that's it. Okay, rest all is the additional things. So we have created this. Now let me create my server in server.js. Great. And we need to also create a configuration file, mcp.json. Okay, so in mcp.json we should give a lot of information about our things. Okay, so here you will just say what are my MCP servers. Okay, so inside this we'll give the MCP server name. So I will just say db user server. Okay, you can give any name, and you will also give the command. So what is the command to run? Okay, so command is basically what should it use. Okay, like Node, Python, all of this. And then you will be giving the arguments. So what are the arguments to be passed along with this command? So in order to start a server, we'll say node server.js, right? So here I will just say server.js. Okay, so with this you are giving the file name, and you also should give something called as current working directory, and it's a good practice to give the full path. Okay, so just go here, say copy path and give it here. Okay, so again you don't need server.js. So till here it's enough because we need to give the directory, current working directory. And you will also give capabilities. What are the capabilities here? So for this, yeah, let me wrap them into quotes. What are the capabilities they are enabled? Like before doing this, let me just give you a heads up on what does a MCP server has. So a MCP server has four things, mainly four things. Okay, so first, an MCP server will have a lot of tools. Okay, meaning what are the external APIs, what are the external tasks. Like LLM has some tasks to do. Okay, what are the external tasks you are giving it? Additional task you will be mentioning it in tools, and then you will be giving resources. Okay, so what are the extra resources it has access to? You can define that, and it also has access to something called as prompts. Prompts meaning what are the sample prompts. It's like a hint. So you will understand this. You can give some hints like prompts, and sampling are like tests. Okay, so what are the sample test cases kind of thing. So these are the four things which basically these MCP servers are made up of, and these are its capabilities. Okay, so like let's say here, so we are going to use tools, we are going to use resource us, and we are going to use prompts. Again, sampling, I told you, right, it's the demo thing, so let's not go into this. Just to know what it's there, I'll just mention it, but we are not going to use any prompts here. Okay, so this is very much important because these are the configurations which clients pick up, and whenever we are doing the client operations, we'll be using the same configuration. Okay, great. So now we have given this. Now we have server.js. Now instead of DB, you can connect to a real DB, but I don't want to connect to a real DB. I will just create a folder DB, and I will just say a file users.json, and I will create a array of objects. Okay, I will say ID is 1. I'm just giving the structure. Name is Mithun. I'm giving just one user. Later we'll do through MCP. Email, like let's say mithun@gmail.com, and finally let me also say email and phone. So phone, like let me just say +911234567890, something like this. Okay, so this is my dummy database as of now, but you can connect to any of the tools. You can connect to external databases. They will have their own MCP guides how to connect to this. Okay, great. So now we have all of this setup ready. Let's get started with creating a simple server. So again, I'm going to come to the documentation. I'm not going to do anything big. So I will just copy this MCP server, and let's create a simple server. So to create a simple server, you just create an instance of it. Const server is new MCP server, and inside this the same things you will be giving the name. I will just say user db MCP, something like this. So you can give any of your own, and you will give the version. So this is my like let's say 1.0 version, and then finally you will also be giving the capabilities. Okay, again same. So tools, so initially there are no tools. Resources, initially there are no resources, and prompts, there are no prompts. I will add it later on, but yeah, so let's just create a server. So now our server is ready, but to access client to access this server, right, so we need to set up a mechanism. Okay, so there are different ways to access this, different transport methodologies. Like we have standard input, like where you give an input and you get an output. This is for simple LLM conversation, chatbot kind of thing. Next we have HTTP streaming. For APIs kind of formatting, we'll be using HTTP streaming. And there was something called as server side events, which is deprecated. It is basically HTTP streaming itself. You should know there are three ways: standard IO, HTTP streaming, and server side events. Now server side events is deprecated, so only two you will be hearing more: standard input and HTTP streaming. So but we will go with standard input. We'll go with HTTP streaming later point. Okay, so I'm going to just create a function main again. So this will be asynchronous function function main. Okay, and I'm going to call this function main. That's it. Okay, so now let's define the transport. Const transport, let's define here. So again, let's go to the documentation, and you can see there is stdio transport, right? So we'll import this. Very Zod as well. Let me just take both and remove Zod. Okay, great. And you will just say the transport is a new stdi server transport, and then you are going to just say await server dot connect to this transport. Great. So with this, your basic server is ready. Your MCP server is ready, but it doesn't have any capabilities. But let's test if everything is working fine or not. So to test this, right, so you can create your own client, and you will get something called as in MCP inspector. Okay, MCP inspector. So this is what the MCP team provides itself. So you can run the things. Okay, so you can just say in MCP inspector. Again, this is executable npx, so you need not to install this. Okay, so let's just write a script for this. I'm going to say, hey, we need to just say type module as well, and scripts. Let's add a script telling that whenever I say server inspect, what you need to do is that call this, and let's pass the configuration is in mcp.json. Okay, so all of the configurations for the client to use, and the whatever server we are going to use, it is user db server. Okay, great. Again, so you need to authenticate to this MCP inspector, but each time you need to authenticate it. So let's bypass this by setting dangerously. Okay, so you are just adding environment variable omit auth, okay, is true. Okay, we're going to say this. So first do this and then run npx the inspector. Great, so now we have done it. Again, you should know why we are doing it. You need to authenticate it. Each time you need to copy the token, paste it. So let's avoid this in the development phase at least. Great, so now let's run this. So I will just say yarn server inspect. So this will so user db server config file is not available. Okay, so let me just say, what did we give here? db user server. Let me just use that db user server. There was some mistake here. Okay, and let me just run this. Okay, see, it's starting up the npx inspector, and at this port, so I have the npx npm inspector, model context inspector. So the first thing you need to see, it has automatically detected my transport command arguments, everything. Let's connect. So see, it's connected. Again, sometimes you will be not able to connect it. Just see the logs, you'll get the logs here. And let's ping to the server. Okay, see, method ping, it was successful. Okay, meaning our server is working fine. It has no capabilities, but yeah, so it's able to work. See, we don't have any resources, prompts, tools. We'll get it sampling, all of this. So auth, we have bypassed it, so no need to worry. We can just ping it, but if you do this, your server is very much up and running without any errors. Great, so now we have a simple server. Now our task is, okay, I want to add a tool which will create a user. Okay, which will create a user. So let's do that particular functionality. Just a minute. Yeah. How to do it? You will just say server dot register to. Okay. Again, if you go to the documentations, multiple ways. I think here or the inspector ones. So here, if you see, so they have server dot tool, but so this is a TypeScript ones. Okay. So see, server.tool was used in the older ways, so the documentation is not updated, so you should follow this. So many of them were complaining me, telling that, hey Mithun, so it's not working. So first let's register tool, let's give the name. So I will just say create user, something like this. This is the tool name. Okay, great. Now let's pass some of the configurations. I'm going to say, hey, the title. So the title is create user. Okay, so let's give description telling that, hey, so it will create a new user in the database. Okay, again, database doesn't have, LLM doesn't have access, we will provide all of the access. And next, what is the input schema? Okay, so what is the input schema you need to define here? So this is where Zod comes into picture. So you can just import Zod. Zod defines the structure, that's it. Okay, not a big deal. Again, make sure you use Zod version 3. There are a lot of bugs in Zod version 4. You will end up with error. So now what is the input? So you need name. So we'll just say z.string. All are strings itself in our case. So you can just say we have what are the fields? Name, email, phone, throw 3 fields. You can have a number of fields. I am having only 3 fields. You can have address, all of this. So with this we have declared our input schema as well. Let me format this. Okay, so our input schema is also ready. Now we need to give the handler. So how the performance should happen. So here you will just give a function. Okay, so you will just say what the function should do. Now this function will input 3 things. Okay, name, email, and phone. Okay, now I need to access my database, and you need to insert it, right? So you will do that operation here. So first let's do good error handling. So I will use try catch, and whenever there is an error, let's return an error telling that, hey, so this is the format. If you see the documentation, you will be getting. So this is the format in which you should return the errors. So you should just say what is the type of the error. So the type is text, and what is the content. So the content is user was not able to user creation failed, something like this. User creation failed. Okay, same, whenever it is successful, you will return a message. Okay, so you will return a message telling that, hey, user with this ID is created successfully. User with ID. Okay, we need to get the variable ID created successfully. Okay, successfully, great. Now our job is to create the user. Okay, so what I'm going to do, you can do it here. Let's give it a modular structure. I'm going to say whenever I get something, so I will call a method called as create user again. So this I will only create it. So create a user which will take all of these 3 parameters. Okay, great. With this I'm going to get the ID, which I will use it as a message. That's it, very simple. Now our job is to create that method create user. Okay, so I will just say async function create user. Okay, I'm going to get the user details here. Okay, the whole function. Again, if you remember, we are passing as a function, right? So now the error should have been gone. Great. So first I want to access the data, right? I'm going to say I'm going to use fs module. Since it is inside my directory itself, I'm going to use fs. Okay, so from fs promise. Okay, so there is a package called as fs just a minute, node fs promises. I'm going to use this. I'm not going because I want it in a promise format. That's it. Okay, so I'm going to say await fs dot. First I want to access the file, right? I'm going to say read file and give the path. Again, it is better to give the complete path. Okay, why? Because we'll connect to external clients as well, right? So that's the whole idea. JSON, and let's say I'm going to use UTF-8. Okay, with this you have the data, and let's parse it to JSON. I'm going to say JSON dot parse data. With this we have the users information. Now what is the ID? So ID should be users dot length plus 1, right? So the new ID. So this is the ID, and then we are going to say users dot push. Since it's an array, right? I'm going to say user dot push ID and pass the user information, whatever you are getting. Great. And now we need to write this also, right? Again, I will write await fs dot write file. Okay, so let's use the same path. Okay, and I'm going to say there is no replacer, and add two extra spaces. Okay, so I need to add this inside separate configurations. I'm going to just say json.stringify users. Okay, use two spaces. And now if you see, whenever I call this create user function, right, it is expecting an ID. So let's return the ID. Okay, let's return the ID. Great. So with this, we have created one particular tool. So let's see if it's working properly. Let's restart the server. I'm restarting the inspector, and I will come to the inspector. So here a new window is launched. So let's connect this. So connection is done. See, now in under tool, you're getting the function list tools and create user. Whenever I select, it's asking me for all of the fields. Let's say the new user is maybe Prabir. So email is prabir@gmail.com, and phone is some random number. Okay, and now when I say run tool, so it says invalid tool results. Oh, it says user with ID 2 created successfully. But yeah, so it's giving me some error, but let's see if the user is created successfully or not. So the user was created successfully, but my previous user went out. Okay, means our previous Mithun user went out. So like, let's see. So there is some user issue with how we are doing it. So I am reading the file. So I am using UTF-8 itself, and I'm parsing the data. Then I'm setting, and I'm saying users.push with this particular object itself. Great. And then when I'm saying user.write file, it's writing to this file, and we are stringifying it as well. So with just a minute, users. Okay, see this small mistake, we should say users, right? If I say user, it will take this users. Great, I got the issue. So now let's restart the inspector. See, you will get the issues. You need not to be worried about it. You need to just resolve it. List tools, create user, like let's say prabir@gmail.com, and some random number. And now if I say run tool, okay, it says user with ID created successfully, but yeah, again it's giving me error. But yeah, so if you see, it is creating properly. The result is not proper. Okay, so like, let's see what are we returning. Okay, so if there any issue in what we are returning, so we are returning the content. Okay, so type text, and instead of content, it should be text, right? So let's make it text. That's it. Okay, and let's restart. I hope this time we will not be landing into any errors. Like, let's create user. Now like, let's say Vivek@gmail.com, and two, something like this, and let's run tool. See, tool result successful, user with ID 3 created successfully, and here the user is created successfully. Great. So now if you see, we are able to create our first tool. So same way, let's create before using it into the client, let's create a resource and a prompt as well, so that you will be aware of what to do. Now like, let's create a resource. I'm going to just say server.resource. Okay, again same thing, you should give the name. I'm going to just say all users. Now here, right, it should have a URI. If you see, right, you should give it an URI. URI is something like http://. But here you can give any URI. You can give it on your own. So I will just say users:all. Okay, but it should be a resource identifier. So that's it. Now let's give some of the information, like description. I'm going to say get all user. It will get all users from DB. Okay, so this is the description. Let's give it a title as well. Okay, title is users, something like this. Let's not import anything. And you need to also give what is the MIME type. Okay, so we will be returning a JSON, so I'm going to say application slash JSON. Great. So with this, our resource we have given. Now we need to create a method as well, right, to fetch all of this. So you will just say I will get the URI. So now let's get the data and users. So you can copy paste from here. I am getting the users from here, and like let's return. I'm going to say whenever we are returning, we will return something called as contents. Remember this, the case sensitivity is very much important. Inside this contents, we are going to just say URI. We are going to get URI from URI.href. Okay, so it will give you. And next, whatever text will be in the JSON format, right? So JSON.stringify users. Okay, again we have the users here. We are doing it, and then just copy paste the MIME type as well. Great. So with this, just a minute, users, with this we have our resource ready. You can create a number of resources like this. Let's restart the server inspector. Okay, and connect it. Now if you see, you have resources as well. You have tools which you can access. You have resources as well. List the resource. You have users, and see here, if you see, you are getting all of the users. ID1 Mithun, ID2 Prabir, okay, ID3 Vivek. We have 3 users, right? All of the resources available. Now you can refer to this and do operations. Okay, so we will see the client side operation in some while, but yeah, so this is how we are doing. Now let's look into only the inspector perspective. Now let's create a prompt as well. So prompt should not be that much difficult or tricky. So like let's say server dot register prompt. So you can give a name. So I'm going to just say how to generate a user, fake user generator. Okay, so we are how to generate a fake user. We are just telling that, and let's give it a title telling fake user generator. Again, you need to follow these titles and descriptions because you are giving a knowledge to the LLM. Okay, so create a fake user. Okay, so this is one end, and next you will have something called as arc schema. So first let's give it a name, and it will create all of the details on its own. So I will just say name is z.string. Okay, great. So with this, you have passed all of the information. Now let's create a function which takes the name. Here we need not to do the operation. If you see, we need to give the prompt. So we will give the message itself. Okay, let me just, okay, so since we are using this syntax itself, okay, so let's give the messages telling that what will be given. So the messages you will get as an array of object. So the role will be of user. So this is the prompt which user should be using. So let's use user again, and you need to give the content. So the content is of type text, and what is the text? Okay, so you can give the text telling that, hey, generate a fake user with the name we are passing, and add relevant details, and make sure the user is realistic. Your user should have realistic email and phone, something like this. I'm just giving it as a sample prompt. Okay, so if anyone want a prompt, they can use this. Okay, so I think we need not to let's restart. Yeah, here you will get list prompts, fake user generator, and whenever you say get prompt, it says that invalid type string, received undefined message. Okay, just a minute. Whenever, oh, I want to add the name, right? So like let's say I will add something like Akshat. Okay, and if I say get prompt, see, now it will say generate a fake username with Akshat and add relevant details. You can pass this prompt directly to the LLM. So that's what you are just preparing templates. So you will not find that much useful with prompts, but yeah, So this is how you can define. And yeah, so this is how we have our server ready. Now our third task is done. We have our server. Yeah. So now the GitHub Copilot part. Okay, so we are now connecting it to a client. GitHub Copilot is also a MCP client. We can connect to it, and yeah, so you can install GitHub Copilot as an extension. So it's a free offering. Subscribe to it. I hope everyone are aware of it. So that is a free service, and you should be able to use it. So now to reflect all of the changes, right? So it's better if we open restart our Visual Studio Code. Okay, so everything will be loaded properly. So let me restart this, and you can see here in the tools, right? So you should have MCP running, and it is pointing to this MCP DB user server, whatever your server name it is, and it should have the list of tools. Okay, great. So now our VS Code as the access. So let's run the server. So I will just say node server.js. Great. And now we can perform operations. Okay, so like let's say I'm going to just say hey, create a new user named Srinivas. Okay, something like this. So if you see, it is automatically pointing to our DB user server, creates a new user server. It is creating its own data. And now if you see, I have only 3 users. Now when I say continue, see user 4 has successfully added. So this is how you perform client operations. Okay, great. Now one more thing to do. So this is one of the client. Okay, I told you, right, we can connect to multiple clients. One of the other client is Claude. Okay, so just search for Claude desktop, download Claude. It's available for various operating systems, not a big deal at all. So you can do it. Let me just close this. Okay, and open Claude. Okay, so like let me reopen Claude. So this will be something like this. Okay, so let's go to the chat. So this is what you will be getting. So whenever like let me restart this completely. Okay, wait for it. So it's loading, and you will get something like this again. So it has various ones to choose. You can choose from this. I am on the free plan itself. So if you are someone who don't have GitHub Copilot, you can use Claude. Okay, now we need to set up the MCP, right? Go to the settings, and here in the developer part you will have this. So how to add this? Just say edit config. You will have this file. Now whatever we had in the mcp.json, right? So whatever we had in mcp.json, just copy paste it. Okay, so let me I don't know why this is not zooming. Let me take this to 400%. Okay, see, I am doing. Only thing is that if you are having it on a desktop, just pass the whole file as argument. That's it. So here we have passed only server.js, right? So this is comfortable for Copilot, but since it is on desktop, it might be able to find issues. Again, I have multiple node versions. It's better to have more than 18 node version. Okay, so whenever you are having multiple node versions, pass the path of your node as well. See, I'm passing the path of my version 20. Okay, so this is an external application, so that's why if you have this, okay, so let me say don't save, you will be able to see that it's running. Okay, the server is running. Now go to new chat. Here you can see you have you can add resources from here as well. You can add prompts from here as well. All of this will be there, and just switch this on DB user server and create user as well. If you have this, now like just say create a user named like let's say Vinith maybe. Okay, so create a name user named Vinith. Okay, so now I am doing it on my Claude. So I will create a Vinith. To complete the user creation, I will add the email. So again, it asks that can I access this tool. So just I'm saying always. So this is my tool. Okay, great, I have successfully added it. Now like let's see our users file, and you should have Vinith added again. So we have added from external application outside VS Code as well. So these are the 2 ways you should know. Again, we can create our own clients, so that facility is also there, but let's not get in there. Okay, So that's it. This is how you can easily work with MCP. Now I think you have a clear idea of what is MCP, why do we need it. You have created your MCP, you know the components, the resources, tools, prompts, and samplings, what they are. And now you are comfortable with connecting it to GitHub Copilot and Claude Desktop as well. In the upcoming videos, let's create a client and connect as well. Okay. Again, when we are doing that, we will be using our HTTP streaming as well. Don't worry, everything will be covered. So that's it for this video. So if you want more videos like this, subscribe to this channel, give this video a thumbs up, comment me if you are facing any issues, or if you are done with all of the setup, and yeah, share this to as many people as possible, because this is the simplest explanation you can get for MCP. That's it, and I will catch up in the next one. Thank you guys.